Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Lyndsay. Let me tell you a little bit about Lyndsay. Her journey is one of a resilience and empowerment. After losing her leg to an MRSA infection, she founded NeoWalk, a company dedicated to creating stylists, acrylic walking sticks for people living with disabilities. Her goals was design a walking aid, and she will feel confident using it. And it all started in her kitchen. Today, Neil Walk ships to over 28 countries, offering a range of design, including light up models, all aimed at helping individuals rediscover their confidence and style. In 2023, Neo Walk earned recognition with both National Diversity Award and Women in Business Award, reflecting its impact. The brand's walking sticks have even graced the red carpet through collaborations with Hollywood stylists, providing that mobility aids can be both functional and fashionable. Lynch's story demonstrates how adversity can spark innovation, turning personal challenges into a platform for creating positive change. Lynch, it's a great pleasure having you here. How are you today?
I'm really good. Thank you, Caesar. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Awesome. So, definitely, I love what came out of something, and this is a very interesting topic because I always
Mm,
tell people that sometimes from pain, a purpose is born. From something that might have been negative at one point, something
mm.
positive came out of that, and is being able to see things from that perspective, right? Before we dive into that, though, I want to hear more about you. I always like to know more about where people are originally from, how's their upbringing that led them to where they are now.
Mhm. So I was before I became poorly, I was a stay-at-home mom. I've got two amazing kids. I've got a boy and a girl who are now grown adults themselves, but they were just young teenagers at the time when I was ill, and I was just a stay-at-home mom. I actually trained. I trained to be a hairdresser. That's what I really wanted to do. So when my children got a bit bigger, when they were going up to the secondary school, that I would be able to start working. So I actually put a career in place for myself, and I trained to be a hairdresser. But then, you know what they say when you make plans,
Mhm.
God has other ideas, and he certainly did. And unfortunately, I became really sick following an operation on one of my knees, and that led into the whole amputation. 3 years later, I had made the choice myself because I was left with such a damaged leg.
Mhm.
And I was only ever really looking at having it amputated in the future. So I just took back control, decided, no, this needs to go, and then I can learn to walk again with a prosthetic,
Mm.
which is what I did. So I just, I was just a regular stay-at-home mom. Never really thought about business.
Got
I
it.
didn't study business, didn't was never encouraged to do business, but yeah, and I found myself, all these years later doing what I'm doing.
Right, for sure. Tell us where are you from originally, and where are you located right now?
So I'm from Yorkshire in England, so the north of England, beautiful part of England. I've always lived in the north of England, and it's yeah, I love it here. Very, very, very lucky.
Good, good. No, that's awesome. So, talking about not ever having that mindset of being a businesswoman and now taking something that not only is helping you impact your life, now you're doing that all over the place. Talk about that idea, right? I'm sure there's other products, and you're here, trying to design something. You're in your kitchen trying to figure out, okay, what would be good for me that is going to help me. Tell me about that, because I think that's amazing when we have those ideas and come up with inventions, right?
Yeah.
In your own backyard.
Yeah, completely. So, have you ever used a walking stick or
Hmm.
crutches or even for a short amount of time?
Yep.
You have. So
I have.
you know what they look like. They're
Yes.
they're they're quite hideous. Just functional.
Right.
They do the job, but there's been no thought about design gone into them. They're not made to remotely look nice. Anyway, when I was walking around with my prosthetic leg,
Hmm.
absolutely brilliant. I was a super active amputee, did all sorts of crazy things, and yeah, was really active. But you do sometimes find that fatigue can get
Hmm.
to you, pain of a prosthetic rubbing on your leg, that can get to you. And the fatigue leads to unbalanced walking, and sometimes you need help. You need a bit of help. So sometimes I would use a walking stick, and I would use these hideous, horrible grey things from the hospital, or I had an old wooden one that looked like it had been around for about 100 years, and I just felt so embarrassed with them. It was just another thing to try and come to terms with. You're already coming to terms with your change in body image and change in how, learning to walk, and it's tiring, it's exhausting. And then you've got to come to terms with using, I can only imagine it's like wearing a pair of muddy wellies to get married in.
Hmm.
It's like wearing it just didn't match. It didn't go with my personality. I was only quite young,
Yeah.
and I thought, I could do something better than this. I'm creative. I've always been creative, really good with my hands. Hence the hairdressing. I was
Yep.
going to be Edward Scissorhands all over the
Right.
place. And I thought I can make something better myself. And I at the time I wanted an invisible walking stick. That would have been the dream,
Hmm.
to have a walking stick that nobody could see. So that was why I chose the material that I did. I chose clear acrylic
Okay.
to make this walking stick with. So it would be as clear, it would be as invisible as possible. And I did, and I made it. It always makes me laugh when I hear that from my kitchen. But I made it in my kitchen. And I made it I used my kitchen oven, and I molded the handle around a wine bottle,
Hmm.
because that gave me the nice curve, and the hey presto, I'd made a walking stick, and I was going out and I was using it, and people were stopping me and asking me where I'd got this amazing walking stick, and it just made me feel really good. My confidence just
Hmm.
kept going up and up and up. And then one day I thought, I could give this to other people. I could give this feeling of being happy using a walking stick, being proud of it, and that
Hmm.
that was when the idea for the business. That was my light bulb. People talk about light bulbs, and I know not everybody gets one,
Yeah.
but I vividly remember it, just thinking, "Oh my God, this is something that other people could benefit from as well,"
Yeah.
and the business came about from that.
Wow, that's amazing. And before I dive into like what were the next steps, because that idea came about, and a lot of times people, like you said, not everybody gets the opportunity to see that light bulb, except again, when they do, the biggest challenge that I think people might have is, okay, what's next? What do I do next? How do I go
Mm,
about doing this? Before we dive into that, though, tell me about even, going through the experience of, okay, I'm losing my leg. I think that's something that can create a mental impact in your life, right? Again, you're changing your whole lifestyle. There's this mental aspect that is going to drain you and probably not only put you down inside out, right? Tell me about experience, because I know that, whether it's that or something where people are having this feeling, these emotions, and are being consumed by that. How do you
mm,
overcome that? How do you get out of that, realizing that, hey, I'm losing my leg. This is huge.
Mm,
It's gonna be a
mm,
whole life change. People are gonna be perceiving me differently. What am I gonna, all these different things are going on. How was that for you, and how did you overcome that?
yeah, yeah, and that's really well put the way that you put it, because that is a good description of what it does to you. So when I caught the infection, the MRSA infection in surgery, it was actually I lived with the leg, the damaged leg, for 3 years. I lived with it, and each each day I woke up and I was scared that I was going to trip up and fall on it and damage it, and then they would have to amputate it. And this word, amputation, just became this big word in my life, and it became the ultimate, like it was the top of the mountain. I don't know whether it was the top of the mountain or the bottom of the valley. I'm not actually sure which it was, but the reality was when I went into hospital to have my leg amputated, I knew that I'd already lost it 3 years previously. So
Mm,
I lost the proper use of it. It stopped being a team player, if you like.
claro.
So I'd lost it 3 years previously. So it was actually to wake up and see it gone was quite a relief. It was,
Mm,
and I could only look forwards as being the woman. I'd never wanted to be a woman with one leg. I wanted to be the woman who uses a prosthetic leg. That was what I wanted to be. And that was exactly what I became. But oh my goodness, I mean, I remember 6 weeks after having my leg amputated, having a complete breakdown. I think I'd been running on adrenaline, just fueling myself, just keeping myself buoyant, trying to keep my spirits up. And then just thinking, oh my goodness, what does the world think of me now? And this whole shift in body image, it was huge for me because I was only young. I was only in my early 40s. And yeah, people look at you. People, and then people look at you differently.
mm,
I lost friends
mm,
who didn't know how to deal with me as an amputee. I had friends who literally came round and said, "Let's have a look at you then."
mm,
And that's all they wanted to do was look at the circus show. It was the one leg, and then never came back again. And that was really hard to it was really hard to deal with. But the way that I got round it and the way I got through it is just surrounding myself with people who believed in me.
mm.
And I think you've got to believe in yourself. But I mean, in times like that, it's so dark, you don't think you're ever going to see daylight again. But I think the important thing I did was surround myself with people who knew that I was tough enough and knew they didn't know what I was going to end up doing. I didn't know. I thought that was the end of the line for me. What do you do? But actually, I started working again and I got the most amazing opportunities that I wouldn't have had if I hadn't had that leg amputated. So it when doors close, windows really, really do open. And it,
Yeah,
it it was a big lesson in that. But yeah, I have a lot of tattoos,
yep,
Caesar. And
yep,
that was the first tattoo that I got. I don't know whether you can see it, but it
yep.
says believe.
Leave. Yeah.
That was the first tattoo I had got, and that was just after I had my leg amputated. And I used to look at that every day. And it wasn't just believe in me, it was believe in the people around you. And I've got an amazing family. And they pushed me through it. And they
Yeah.
still do. They still do today.
Yeah.
Because times are still tough now. And they still get me through today.
Yeah, I love the idea of what you just mentioned, and I think it's important to recognize, while maybe a lot of people might have walked away and looked the other way, right, and didn't come back.
Yeah.
Um, People don't recognize that we have opportunities to kind of reset, and sometimes it's not how we want it, except it was a reset for you to say, hey, let me start all over again. And it's kind of like the message that you're giving us here, which I like when you said challenges are opportunities in disguise.
Yeah.
If you approach adversity with creativity and resilience, you can turn into something that not only changes your life, but also the lives of others. And
Mm.
it really comes down to that. I do believe that. I think it's true. We have a lot of times, I think we have a lot of opportunities. Unfortunately, we don't see those opportunities because, again, they're not in this shiny object, right?
No, they're heavily disguised. Yeah.
Exactly.
And when you feel a little hopeless, it's hard to it's hard to feel positive enough to look for positive things.
Yeah, 100%. So, um, while that might not have been the best case, it is the best case because not only have you impacted your own life, I like the idea of now you have and doing and impacting other people's lives that perhaps before you couldn't reach, right? And so I think
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I know for a fact, at least for me, part of this podcast is to be able to get the message out is because I know that somebody needs to hear this message. Somebody needs to
Yeah.
hear that. And to me, there's a joy in knowing that I'm able to help at least one person
Yeah. Yeah.
in this entire world, right?
Yeah. Well, if one person's listening to this and is in any kind of situation, hopeless, whether it's a medical condition, a trauma, a personal situation, you know, yeah, challenges are opportunities in disguise, and you've got to really look to see them. But just, yeah, it's believing in yourself. And it sounds really, I want to say corny. It sounds really basic, but that is the first building block. You
Mm.
know, to get up the stairs, you've got to start at the bottom stair. So it is the first building block, and if the foundation of you believing in yourself is there, that's when you'll go further.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about now you've discovered this, you created something that's helping you and the light bulb went off and you're like, "All right, I have something that people are noticing, they're liking what I have.
Yeah,
Gosh, man, I just probably hit something here." How do you go from being a full-time mom, doing the things you're doing, going through all of that, and now, okay, now there's the possibility of becoming a business woman having a product to offer to the world. How do you shift to that? Because that's
yeah,
definitely I think one of the things where people unfortunately sometimes get hung up and
yeah,
because of the unknown they don't move forward with those ideas and those
yeah.
creations.
Yeah, I think that is where a lot of people fall by the wayside, because that's when the constant ideas need to keep flowing. Because if you're starting a business from scratch, you need to, and you'll be the only person in your business. I was my only person. So you'll be the manufacturer, you'll be the marketer, you'll be the postman, you'll be the ordering supplies for the office. You'll
Hmm.
be everything, and you'll be the only person in there, and it can be quite lonely. But I brainstormed a lot with my family. They were very supportive on, ideas on how I could. I mean, I knew how I could make it because I'd made one. I'd made them in the kitchen oven.
Yeah.
But actually making that into a larger scale animal was a bit different. It was a lot of talking, a lot of testing, a lot of big, bold moves when you've got to invest the money. Because I used my own money to invest in to get the thing off the ground. And I remember spending the first £5,000, whatever it was, and just looking at the number before I clicked it on the screen and thinking,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, what am I doing? But that, something within just goes, yeah, press it and press it. And the voice inside says, you can do this. And it's yeah, it's just constantly coming up with ideas. It's waking up at 3 in the morning and writing things down, ideas for names for things, for new colors, and I still do that now, even all these years later. It it was a long road, and I think probably from deciding that I was going to do it to actually having a website where someone could buy something probably took me about 9 or 10 months, which I don't know whether that's fast or not, but at the time it felt very slow, and I was, come on, come on, come on, come
Yeah.
on. But yeah, it took me about 9 or 10 months to get the thing off the ground, and yeah, it's just grown just in a crazy way, especially in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. I've put so much more effort in and taken on extra people to work with me because I couldn't continue
Right.
to do it on my own anymore. And yeah, the things, are really lovely. The culture that we've got, the all this, I don't have many staff. There's only 8 of us,
Yeah.
but they're all so invested in what we do. They know that every time we send, well, every time they make and then send a walking stick to somebody is potentially changing their lives.
Yeah.
And it's just so important. And the culture that we have in Neo Walk is just one of how can we help you? What can we do that will make this experience good for you? And how can we get you what you want and need? And
Yeah.
that's the bottom line. What can we do to make that happen? Yeah.
I love that. Talk about so about 9, 10 months to get it up and running. From the time that the light bulb went off, when was the first, how long it took you to have that first sale?
I thought it was a joke when the website was working. I thought someone's having a joke here.
Yeah.
It was about a week.
Wow.
Bearing in mind new business,
Yeah.
nobody knows we exist, and I'm just getting my social media was still very very new at the time, and I'm working out how to market this thing. And an order came through, and I'm like, what? This is crazy. Yeah, and I thought it was a joke. And in the early days, I wasn't doing a huge amount. It was very that, and that's just the way it is. That's
Yeah.
business. You can have the best product, but if nobody knows you're making it and
Right.
selling it, you're never going to sell one. So
Yeah.
I had to learn a huge amount about how to market myself and the business. Yeah, that
Got it.
that was a real steep learning curve, that one.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So and now you're in, over 20 plus countries delivering this. It's all manufactured there in England, or where is it manufactured?
No, they're all handmade.
They're
And I
still handmade.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Still handmade, in York, in Yorkshire. And I keep looking out of my window here because I'm super fortunate that I've got a house that was big enough to I've taken over a chunk of the house and made it into offices and workshop. So I actually have Neo Walk in my back garden.
Gotcha.
So I'm just so lucky and so blessed to be able to have it here, to have it so close by. It means that I can take part, even on days where I'm not feeling too great, not feeling too well, and I can still take part and come away and rest. And
Yeah.
it's great. But yeah, it's in my back garden. How lucky am I?
I love that. I get to that's a huge motivation, and just being able to like go full circle, going through this, life-changing event, and
Yeah.
then having the idea and then actually following through, and now being able to have this in multiple countries is huge.
Yeah.
Do your so I'm assuming you have a lot of different product types, or is it specific to the person? Tell me more about the product.
Yeah, so the walking stick, the theory around the walking stick has remained the same since day one. So it's a single piece of material that we make to your height. We make the walking stick to your height. So you need to measure what length you need. And we give you the choice of handle shapes. And then we've got like 40 different colors now. We've got 6 different handle shapes, lots of accessories, different things to go on the bottom, because that's really important what you put on the bottom as well. Yeah, we've got it's so personalizable. Is that a word? But you can personalize it
Yeah.
as to match your personality. So through color, through engraving, you can have an engraved collar with some message, a message to yourself. And we had a marriage proposal. Can
Hmm.
you believe that? We had a "Will you
Wow.
marry me" on a walking stick,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
love that. And we've made some really special walking sticks. We've done this a few times now, but we made one for a young lady who was getting married, who had quite recently lost her father. And we had the handle of the walking stick she wanted, especially drilled out. And she sent us some of her dad's ashes, and we
Mhm.
had some of her dad's ashes put into the handle of the walking stick. So when she was walking down the aisle, she actually
Wow.
had her dad in her
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
And that was so special for her. And what an honor to be trusted to do that for this young lady. It was amazing. And yeah, we've done some great walking sticks. We really have. But essentially, yeah, you tell us what you want, and we'll do everything we can to make it happen for you.
For sure. Yeah. Tell me about the experience of how were you able to get into Hollywood, right? And I think that's huge, right? Being able to be on the red carpet.
Hollywood came to me.
Oh, look at that. Amazing.
Hollywood came to me on both occasions. So a lot of years ago, when I was checking orders one morning, there was an order from someone called Selma Blair, and I thought, well, I know who Selma Blair is, but surely that's not her. It's someone with her name. Anyway, there it was in LA in California, and that was our first introduction to Selma, who's become a great friend as well. But it was about 3 years ago. I got an email, and my time here has taught me that you never know what's coming round the corner. You never know. This email, hello, my name is, she was also called Lyndsay, lovely lady. I'm the stylist for Christina Applegate. And Christina's going to be receiving her star on the Walk of Fame. And it's going to be the first time she's seen with a walking stick. And we want you to design one. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's mad. And which we did, and then we've since collaborated with Christina, who has become a really good friend, and we've made this amazing walking stick that every time we sell one, we donate money to an MS charity in the
Yeah.
US and in the UK, and so we've got this brilliant collaboration, this great. Wow, what do you call her? She's more than an ambassador. I mean, she's an icon for people who are living with chronic illness.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
love that.
but she's
Yeah.
an amazing woman. She really is.
Oh, that's good. Well, you've definitely been able to impact a lot of people and help people throughout their own life challenges. What's next for you guys? What is the next step for you guys?
Next steps. Oh, I don't know. Everybody keeps asking this. And I mean, growth for the business is still because obviously you want to be on a growth trajectory. You don't um, we don't want to lose that. So always growing, always marketing to new countries, introducing new products. We're always thinking of new colors, new style designs, new limited editions. We do a limited edition every year. We're trying to create a real community
Hmm.
around, and we've got this, I think on Instagram, we've got over 40,000 followers. It's a community now where
Nice.
everybody that people can go and you can ask for advice. You can just show off what you've got. You can put pictures up of, you with your new stick, rocking it at a gig, or we get so many pictures of walking sticks at gigs, and I love them. I think for me, it's expanding that community. But what's most important is meeting our community. I think we've got a lot of people who've supported us for a long time now that we need to be going out there and meeting. So
Yeah.
we're going to be coming up with ideas and ways of doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Tell me about if people want to, follow you, find out more where they can get one of those personalized sticks and connect with you. Like, how can they find you and get your products?
Yeah. So, I mean, we're super easy. You can just either Google Neo Walk or you can follow us on at Neo Walk Sticks. Because of course we call them sticks, you call them canes, which
Yeah.
is very, very confusing for the world. Would you call a stick a pole? What do you call hiking poles? What do you call them? Is that a pole?
I think those I want to say a hiking stick or a hiking pole. I think that we
Yeah.
interchange them for sure.
Yeah.
But we
So
do call them canes. We don't call them sticks. We do call them
yeah.
canes. Yeah.
You confuse the language, you see, Caesar.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we're at Neo Walk Sticks. And we have a community on Facebook as well. We're on Facebook, but we also have a community on Facebook, which is at Neo Walk Sticks. But yeah, you can order off the website. We're always available on the phone. Well, not always, during our time
Yeah.
zone. We
Right.
are. And we've got live chat on the website as well. So it's lots of ways that you can approach us. But yeah, just come and join in and just see if there's something that it may not be for you, but what we try to tell people is that there is choice out there,
Yeah.
and where it may feel like there isn't, and it may feel like we've been forgotten about, if you
Right.
just look around, there is choice, and you can find something that you really like and be proud of.
For sure. No, I love that. Definitely. In terms of, obviously you're having a busy life, managing the business, taking care of your community, and then, going about your life. Are there any specific things you do, kind of like non-negotiables that you do every day that you have to do to keep you up and going with this positive mindset?
Yeah, yeah, there is, and he's sat over there. I'm single lady, and I have adopted a 48-year-old umbrella cockatoo. I've
Okay.
got this parrot who is
Yep.
so demanding. It is like having a 3-year-old in the house.
Oh, man.
So he takes my mind off things every day, because the feeding, the playing, the teaching him things, the training. Yeah, he diverts my attention. He's great. And I have my dogs, who direct me outside to throw balls for them.
Yep.
So I get outside in the fresh air a
Yep.
lot. Those are things that I have to do. Um, you know, especially the bird, because he can shout at 110 decibels. So
Oh,
if I
yeah.
don't do him, he shouts.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're my non-negotiables. A little bit
Gotcha.
of that's my self-care.
Yeah.
I read. I make sure that I read. That takes my mind away from things. I listen to podcasts. I
Okay.
love listening to podcasts,
Gotcha.
because you can learn. Like we said earlier, if one person can just pick something up off this and think,
Yeah.
oh, that could be me. That sometimes I'm that person, and
Right.
I listen to all sorts of podcasts. So yeah,
Yeah.
those are my. What are your non-negotiables?
Yeah, so for me, yeah, very similar to that. I like to get out. I used to do it twice now because of my busy schedule. I'm only able to go out once during the day,
Mm,
but I have to go out once a day for about 45-minute walk. And
mm,
so it's kind of time for me to just kind of have time for me, forget about the world and
yeah,
forget about unplug from my phone,
yeah, yeah,
listen to podcasts and or motivational videos. So I do
yeah,
that a lot. I also do journaling and I do reading. So those are kind of like the top three things that I do on a
yeah.
day-to-day basis, just to kind of keep me up and running for
Yeah,
sure.
it's so important, and I think those things that we do are very underrated. But just getting out in the fresh air and the sunlight is so good for you. And I'm
Right.
not meaning from a this is all out of a bottle, Caesar. Every bit of tan that I've got comes out of a bottle. But the sunlight is so good for your health and your mental health.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I think we're just realizing now more how important it is. So that snapshot of going out into the
Hmm.
sunlight during the day, it's critical for us, isn't it? But you have a lot more sunshine than we do. I'm in
We
England. We
we
get a
do.
lot.
We do
Mm,
for sure. Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
100%. And
we
even on
we
those days that is not, the sun is not out, definitely I still make the time to go out and do
yeah.
something. And I think that's the biggest thing is, being able to create some sort of habits, daily habits, and
Mm,
just stay
yeah.
with them because that can be a big difference in shifting. And I always tell people that if you can get better by just 1% every day, by the end of the year, 365 days, you're that much better than when you started, right? So it really comes
Yeah.
down to that for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I
Um,
100% agree with you. Yeah.
yeah, 100%. So let me ask you this, see if I can get some good advice from you for the people that are watching us, that are
Okay.
listening to us. If they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can start doing to start overcoming those challenges?
I can only speak from my experience. And I've been met with many, many, many challenges. You need to cut yourself some slack
Mm,
and understand that you're dealing with big things. and exercise that self-care. You need to let yourself rest. Sleep is so restorative. And I find that I use sleep also as part of my daily self-care. I go to bed really early because I
Hmm.
know that I need sleep because I get very fatigued. So allow yourself, you're not lazy if you feel like you can't do things. This is probably for people undergoing a physical challenge.
Hmm.
But you understand you're not lazy. People won't think that you are. They will think that you're just taking time to rest, to
Hmm.
do what you want to do better when you're actually active. The belief in yourself again, you may think you've lost it. You may, and the strength that you need to overcome certain challenges. But the strength for me has always appeared when I needed it.
Hmm.
You may not think it's going to, but it shows up when you need it. And then you can spend that strength. And then you need to allow yourself to rest again. And that can be, again, that can be physical or mental. I just think people are so hard on themselves nowadays,
Yeah.
with social media, with on TV, everybody's so perfect and everybody looks like they're doing everything so perfectly. And it's a load of crap because they're not. And I think that makes people like me, because I buy into all that rubbish.
Yeah.
It makes us feel that we're not as good, that we're not as precious to the world, but we are. And you just don't believe what you see and what you see on social media. I think it's a really toxic place now.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think for a business, yeah, I use it. Personally, no, 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 thank you.
Yeah.
So I just can't compare myself. Can you compare? You can't compare yourself. We're all so different.
Hmm.
Why would you want to be the same as someone else? And I think
Right.
if we could just foster a bit of that and be kinder to ourselves, people might feel less of a challenge going on, because I
Yeah.
think they present a lot of the challenge themselves. They present it to themselves. It's those inside voices. They're not good. We
Right.
should never listen to them.
Yeah.
So,
No, that's 100%. And you said it, and I believe, you know, uh, going back to those inside voices, there's an African proverb that I really like, and it says, "When there's no enemy within, there's no enemy outside that can do you no harm." And when you
yeah,
think of that,
yeah,
it really goes back to the biggest war, the biggest fight that are taking place all over the world is in your head. And so
yeah,
we got to figure out how to differentiate those negative voices. And
mm,
again, it goes back to what you just mentioned. If you're going through some challenges, you got to believe in yourself. You got to believe that you can come out of this ahead. And so we got to be able to uh, ultimately work and think and believe that we can fight any negative things going in our heads, and then just get those things out into the world for fruition. So I do
yeah,
believe that there's a lot that we can do. And the last thing you mentioned is huge. The only competition, or the only person you should compare yourself to is yourself in the mirror, not anybody else, right? In that sense. So
no. There's no comparison. We're the best. I'm the best at being me.
yeah, yeah,
You're the best at being you.
hmm,
No
yeah,
one does it better than you.
right, right,
you
yeah.
know and I think we need to remember that.
For sure. Well, Lindsay, thank you again for being here. Really had a great time speaking to you and having this conversation. Any last minute words you want to say before I let you go?
No, I've really enjoyed speaking to you, really, really. You've been my little ray of California sunshine today, Caesar,
Yes.
and I'm very grateful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Well, thank you again for being here. Enjoy having this message. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Go out and check her out. Go out and share this message, because definitely somebody has to hear this message, and it can impact somebody in a positive way. And I am looking forward to seeing you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you guys.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.cesarrespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.